Hi, I'm Marci Shimoff, and welcome to the Love Your Life Summit. Today we get to hear from someone whom I've known for 30 years, who has been a great inspiration to me, a great friend of mine, and I know you're going to love hearing her message and getting to feel her heart. Her name is Peggy O'Neill. Hi, Peg.
Hi, Marci.
And we are in Peggy's home for a college reunion, as a matter of fact. And Peggy stands only 3 feet 8 inches tall. And there she is. This is Peg.
I am standing up.
And she has the biggest heart and the biggest soul of anyone I know.
Oh,
so
honey,
it is.
sweet.
Went back in Cleveland, Ohio, where Peggy was raised. Peggy felt not only short, but short-changed, as if she was robbed of the chance for a full and happy life. Working hard to overcome the challenge of being small, Peggy now walks tall, and her license plate says, "Walk tall." She celebrates her uniqueness and comes from both the field of psychotherapy. She works with both children and adults as an inspirational speaker, a diversity trainer in corporations and organizations, and as a great, fabulous life coach. Peggy's also the author of 2 books, Walking Tall and Little Square Head. So I am excited to get to speak with you today, Peggy. This is so much fun. We actually have traveled together many times and speaking, going to various speaking conventions, the National Speakers Association convention, and you have great wisdom for everybody about how to love their lives. So I start off each one of these conversations with asking, do you love your life and why?
I do love my life. And I was just saying to all the ladies last night that when I wake up in the morning these days, I just think, oh my God, I get to have another day in heaven. Or will it be another day in heaven? Because every day I feel, at the end of the day, like, how could it get any better? How could I have more joy? How could I have more love? How could I have more sweetness? How could I have more richness? So I feel really happy about my life.
And I know it hasn't always been that way. And,
yes.
You know, there are so many people listening. Everyone listening has challenges.
Right.
Now, you've had particularly, I think, obviously visible challenges in your life.
Right.
And you weren't always happy. And we're going to talk about how people can overcome their challenges today. But let's hear what it was like for you with your challenges and how you didn't love your life.
Okay. Well, when I was a little kid, I had a lot of teasing from other kids, and they would find me on the playground, and when there weren't any adults around, they would call me nasty names and tease me and stuff like that. And then when I got to high school, all my friends started dating, and that wasn't really happening for me. And that was probably the hardest thing, because that went on for a long time. And it wasn't just like when everybody started dating, but then in the 20s and then to my 30s when people were like getting engaged and getting married, and long-term relationships weren't working out for me. And so it's like I had a lot of failure in relationship, and it's like every time I failed, it was like falling down. And then I'd get up and I'd try again, and then fall down, and finally I just got caught in this vortex of I'm unlovable. And I just started going down, and it was like this dark cloud followed me wherever I went. And I lived in Hawaii. I lived on like this beautiful I lived like the ideal life. I had a fruit and flower farm. I lived with like 10 of my friends. We went to the beach all the time. I had great work. It was like the great life. But I couldn't get my romantic situation to sort of give me a bit of fulfillment. So I think between my critical voice and telling myself that I was unlovable and manifesting that on the outside, I mean, I know that now. Back then, I didn't really look at it that way. It all looked to me like I'm a little person, therefore I'll never get the love that I want or need. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of fear started coming in my life, and, you know, it's just like inner smallness. Like I have this thing where I couldn't change my outer size.
Yeah.
But I later found out that I could change my inner size, and at that time I was suffering from extreme inner smallness. Mm-hmm. I was just feeling afraid, and I was feeling unconfident, and I was feeling really unhappy. Yeah. So.
And this, I know, is something that almost every woman, I think, has been through at some point, is a feeling of unlovable, and that really is a core piece to not loving your life, when you don't love yourself, when you've got all those critical messages.
Right.
And, I think that a lot of times we feel like, well, I can feel that way because of a reason, like for you it was, well, of course, I feel unlovable because I'm 3'8". For other people it's I feel unlovable because I weigh too much, or I feel unlovable because, any number of reasons. So I want to really look at what we can do about that feeling unlovable thing, because I feel like you have totally mastered that.
Thank you.
And I know it has been a long journey for you.
Yeah.
And I want people to get shortcuts from the benefit of your journey here.
Sure.
So let's talk about this I don't love myself piece and how people can really move through that. And I'm going to ask you to maybe share three things that we can do right away to start feeling more lovable so we can love our lives.
Okay. So I would say first one is to recognize that no situation defines who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, before I was miserable, I was a little person. Now I'm really happy. I'm still a little person. The situation has not changed.
Yeah.
So what did change? What changed was me. And it certainly wasn't on the outside, it was on the inside. So I think that's the first thing to recognize, that no situation has power over you.
Mm-hmm.
And that even if you're in a limited situation, even if you're in a oppressed or some kind of situation. For me, I had both. I had physical challenges, I had social challenges, I had emotional challenges more than most people. So those things haven't stopped. But my reaction to my limitations has changed completely. So I think that that's an incredible point of empowerment, to realize that there isn't anything on the outside we're not a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
how did you come to that, though? How did you, is it just something you started telling yourself, I'm not a victim? It's a deep, really kind of knowingness, isn't it?
Well, there were a lot of things that happened, but one of the things that happened was one day I was talking with, I had a spiritual counselor, and we were talking, and he pointed out to me that I was investing a lot of time and energy in a fantasy that one day I was going to wake up and be an average-sized person, and all my problems were going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I was stunned. I was like, you're right. I do have that fantasy. And I had never realized it. And that was when I realized that I had a choice, that I could continue to beat my head against the wall expecting something that will never happen.
Yeah.
Or I could choose to try to change in ways and things that I could change. So I found out about changing my identity, and about changing my attitude, and about changing my thoughts, and about changing the way I think about myself, and the way I treat myself, and what I expect from myself, and what I think I deserve. So all of that. So all of that changed. So the other things that have helped me to make that change, I think, have been to really start to become aware that my thoughts have a lot of power over me,
mm-hmm.
and that I have a lot of power over them. I may not be able to choose the thoughts that come up in my mind, so if a negative thought comes up, like, oh, I can't do that, or, oh, that person's not going to respect me, or, oh, I could never have a relationship with that person, that's the time to command that voice to stop.
Yes.
And I say, just be a policeman, say, stop, and silence the voice, and take a deep breath, let go of that thought, and expand in the place of self-acceptance. So this is a place of realizing that your thoughts are not the boss of you. You are the boss of your thoughts. And if you don't pay attention to the thoughts you're thinking, and you just let the negative thoughts go like a tape, they'll just beat you down into the ground. And that's what happened to me, is that the voices inside my head, for example, I went to Art Center College of Design. It was a really, really hard school. I went through all 8 semesters. Every semester I wanted to drop out because all this big, heavy equipment, it was so hard for me.
You were doing photography.
Photography there. Yeah, and at the last, a month before my graduation, after 8 semesters, the dean calls me in and to his office and tells me, nobody's going to hire you because you're a little person. And then I completely, just like melted. I never showed my portfolio, which was really, really strong.
An amazing artist, an amazing photographer.
Thank you. I never went out and tried to get jobs. I never had a photo studio or anything. I just completely gave up. But the thing that I realized later is that it wasn't the dean that shattered my dream. It was my inner voice. It says I kept telling myself, I'll never get hired. And those words started running like a tape over and over and over, and every time they did, I got smaller and smaller on the inside. And eventually, I couldn't even get up and move around very, I didn't have enough confidence to show my work.
Yeah.
I didn't believe that it would happen. So that critical voice is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. And then later in my life, I learned how to silence the voice. And since then, things have been completely different.
And what's one thing that people can do right now to silence that voice? Because everybody's, got that voice going.
Well, I think I mentioned it. The first thing is to pay attention.
Yes.
Second thing is that when you notice that there's a critical, belittling, or demeaning thought, to say stop, shut up, go away. To just become conscious of it and stop it, and don't let it continue to run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then take a breath, expand into the place of self-acceptance.
Great.
I accept myself the way I am. I'm okay the way I am. I'm enough now.
And you do that? Do you do that regularly through your day?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm. I do it, and I do it before I go to bed. I do it in the morning when I wake up. It's like, it's something that if you just continue to tell, affirmations are great. Mm-hmm. And in my mind, they have their limitation, but they're good medicine. And if we remind ourselves how great we are, and that's the second thing that I want to talk about, is recognizing that we are great. I mean, I think that sometimes for myself, I know that I defined myself how other people saw me, and everybody was always pointing a finger at me, either figuratively or energetically, and letting me know that there was something wrong with me, that I wasn't enough. And so I felt like I'm not a great person. I'm almost not even worthy to be here. And so then at a certain point, I learned how to go within myself and tap into my deeper self, into my deep inner spiritual self. And I learned how to do that through meditation and through doing certain kind of healing work where I would work on issues that would take me deeper inside, and I'd always end up having this experience of my magnificence. Mm-hmm. And just remembering that, just knowing that you're a human being, and knowing that you have inherent magnificence, that you're incredible, that you're great, that you're awesome, just that knowing, and reminding yourself that, however you do that, when you look in the mirror, when you take a deep breath, when you get in your car, certain habits that you have, if you start helping yourself remember, I'm this magnificent human being. And it's not just, yes, we're magnificent, all human beings are magnificent, nobody's outside of this. So I think one of the things we can do is start to recognize our greatness and acknowledge ourselves. Mm-hmm. Affirm when we have wins. If we have any kind of success, say, look, I did that. It's so great. So that sort of builds up. It starts to sort of prove it to ourselves that we are incredibly great. When we pay attention to the little things in life. When you have affirming experiences, when people say nice things to you, when you feel good about something, when you're just having a moment of delight. Say, this is a gift, and I deserve this. I'm so amazing. Yeah. So to recognize your own inherent greatness, I would say that's another really incredible thing.
So you're stopping the inner voice,
yes,
the inner critic, and then you're also, that's the stopping the negative, but then you're also affirming the positive.
Yes.
You're acknowledging the greatness that you have inside, and
yes,
your inner bigness, no matter what.
Yes.
Okay.
And I totally recommend meditation for that, transcending the thoughts, the psychology, the world of 3 dimensions, and going to that dimension beyond, which is who we really are, which is infinite, which is unbounded, and that is the source of our incredible greatness. And if people can do that, and take 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, to sit with their eyes closed and just go inside, use the name of God, use any high value like love or beauty, put it in your heart and let yourself settle down, like all the way to the bottom of the ocean, and just let yourself feel that expansive, silent place.
Mm-hmm. I have to tell you, and I've done many of these interviews, and that one particular piece comes up almost every single time. So we know it's important because these people who are really loving their lives are all saying the same thing with that. So that's great.
Well, I was just saying last night, and I have a new book coming out, and I was just saying that last night that the book is about exactly this, is that true happiness, like you wrote about in your book, it's not like really something that is about getting your life the way you want, right, or getting the relationships you want, or controlling everything so that it meets your preferences. I mean, that'll work for about a day or a week. Yeah. But then there's the emptiness again. Right. And so for real happiness, you go inside, because this is the source of life. Yes. This is the source of our creativity, of our intelligence, of our everything. Yeah. And if we, the more we have contact with that, the more that, I mean, the nature of that creativity is bliss. So the more that we have contact with that, the more it's going to spill out into our life. Yeah. The more we're going to carry that with us. The more people are going to respond to us. If we're happy, then other people respond to us in a completely different way, and then that feeds the happiness. It's like a big. Yeah. Yeah. So. Not enough could be said about that. Great. Yeah. All right. So our third tip on what people can do to love their lives, love themselves and love their lives. The third thing that I recommend is to reframe your challenges as gifts. So one of the things that I found that can really make a person feel small inside are challenges. Challenges come and you say, why me? You maybe get cancer, or your mother dies, or you lose your relationship, and you're in pain, and you feel crushed, you feel beaten down. So there's some time to take for grieving losses and all of that. I'm not saying that the minute you have something bad happen to you, you should spring back on your feet. You should take some time to process through. However, after some time, if the more that we can look at the challenge, and rather than say, why me, why doesn't somebody fix it, the more we say, what's this challenge here to help me learn? What's the gift inside this challenge? How is this challenge helping me become a bigger, better person? The more we start to reap the benefit of that experience. And I think that God made challenges for every single person, because if we were all just having a bonbon party here, nobody would be evolving. Yeah. And the nature of life is to evolve. We're all in an evolutionary process. And I always say the storms of life are made to, the storms are by design to make us to do some work to have that evolutionary, so we grow, so we evolve, so we become bigger, better human beings. And sometimes what we need to learn is a skill. Sometimes what we need to learn is to open our hearts. Sometimes what we need to learn are certain kind of qualities like patience or understanding, or we need to learn how to listen. We need to let go of our judgments of ourselves and others. So there's all kinds of things in life. I mean, the list goes on forever. But I think the more that we can look at our challenges and say, okay, there's a gift for me in this. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to start trying to dig here and find out what it is. And eventually, as you work through the challenge, you'll find out what the gift is. And I'm sure everybody who's listening has had a challenge that they've worked through and that they've gotten a gift from. Can you think of one? I mean, what's a gift that you've gotten from one of your challenges? Well, I have, one of my big challenges is self-doubt. Uh-huh. And I think one of the gifts is that, two of the gifts actually. One is that it's enabled me to always stay pretty humble, because I have so much self-doubt that I can't not. But secondly, it has forced me to appreciate the greatness inside myself. It's really forced me to work on self-love. Uh-huh. And so, I feel like I've been put on the planet to help other people love themselves and love their life. Mm-hmm. And
who would listen to me if I hadn't had that challenge to begin with? You know, I mean, it's so much more real when you've been through it.
Right.
So I know you and I mean, truly, we've spent 30 years ago, we talked about those challenges, and we were not as happy.
Yeah.
And we have together seen how this challenge that we've both had of feeling like enough and loving ourselves, how we've really worked on it, and now we're in a position where we are loving ourselves, and it's so delightful to get to see that change really does happen, and that, I mean, I just get thrilled at being able to see your life flourish the way it is, and you flourish. I mean, you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And you are, you know, you've got this wonderful husband. I was at her wedding many years ago.
15 years ago.
And her husband is doing great, is on television a lot, acting, and you have this great speaking career where you're speaking not only to kids and teenagers about diversity and about how they can walk tall, and what a great messenger of that you are, but you're also speaking to adults and corporations about how to deal with their challenges. And you know, I think that you are a very, very big spirit who was brought here with a challenge that was so visible that you could really overcome it yourself and then be a fabulous example to everyone about how to walk tall and live big. And you have fun in life, and I love getting to have fun with you. What's your secret to having fun? Because I tell you, this woman laughs and has fun about more than anybody I know. So, have you ever thought about what is your secret to having fun?
I think what it is that I recognize what thrills me, and then I make it happen. So like for this weekend, I love to be together with our group, and so every year I figure out, okay, let's have the girls over, and a couple months ahead I send out an email or call everybody in the old days, and we all get together. So it's like seeing what it is that makes me happy, and then taking the steps to move towards that. And I think also just having a joyful spirit. I think that's one of my blessings, that fun is easy for me. And one thing that I wanted to say about the thing about loving your life and about being a teacher that you and I both share is that one of the things that I really appreciate the most, one of the gifts that's come out of it for me, is that I feel that, I mean, I also feel like I'm a teacher, and then I meant here like what you said, and there's a lot of impact that I have on the stage. But I think that the happier you are and the happier I am, the more that we get to be that teacher every moment of our day. Because everywhere we go, people look at us, people talk to us, and they either get uplifted and they get a sense of, oh my God, that person's so happy, or that person's so uplifted, and their spirit gets uplifted. And so, I mean...
And that's everybody. What you're saying is we are all teachers. Wherever we go.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
I know that we share this. Really, I think everyone who's listening and watching shares this desire, this mission, this passion for living a better life, because we know that when we live a better life, everything changes around us. You know, our families feel better, our communities are impacted, and so it's a vision of possibilities. And Peg, you give a vision of possibilities to everywhere you go, and to me. And so, how can people find out more about you?
They can go at my website. It's yopeggy.com. Just think, yopeggy.com, and my website's there with lots of empowerment tools and meditation tools and T-shirts and fun stuff like that. Tiaras, so that you can have your tiara and know that you are a princess or a king, and have that outer representation of what you actually carry in your heart. So,
and we also have a wonderful offering on the store, so check out the store for Peggy's fabulous offering. And
thanks, Marci.
Peggy, thank you for being in my life, and for blessing my life, for being an inspiration to me.
She's like a blessing of my life. Oh my God.
Oh, thank you. And thank you all for joining us. And may you live in love, grow in love, and flourish in love today and every day. Thanks.